Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our special episodes talking about breast screening here at St Bartholomew's Hospital. And I'm joined once again by Mansi Tara, who's a health promotion lead, and Claire Mabena, who is the lead nurse here at the North London and Central and East London Breast Screening Service. Hello again, both of you. We talked in the first episode about a lot of the process, a lot of the way it happens, some of the challenges that you guys have with engagement and with education. There are a lot of myths, misconceptions, a lot of things that people maybe don't understand when it comes to breast screening. But one of the things that maybe isn't a myth or misconception is something we touched on in the first episode. The pain is, I imagine, something you hear from time to time. But we were just talking before we pressed record. It's important to understand what that pain is, Mansi, isn't it?
Yes. So again, I think it's very relative. It's very individual. People have different pain thresholds. But if you are someone who experienced pain, I think it's also important to highlight that if you're someone who's ever had an X-ray taken, it's a few seconds. So when we're taking the X-ray of your breasts for breast screening, it will be the appointment 6 minutes, but the time that you're actually kind of placed, your breast is placed on the plates to take that X-ray, it's probably less than a minute, so it's a few seconds that you're going to experience that discomfort or pain. And just to emphasize the benefit of getting the screening, it possibly could outweigh that discomfort that you're feeling for those few seconds, because the earlier that we catch any unusual change, the better the treatment outcomes would be.
You could be talking a few seconds of pain and it could potentially save your life.
Yes. Talking
kind of, not even extreme, it could actually save your life, couldn't it, for that few seconds of pain?
That's true. It could.
Let's sort of talk about that sort of 6 minute appointment. I know we touched on it in the first one, but Claire, would you take me through that 6 minute appointment? What happens?
So when you come into the room, you will be asked to undress down to your waist. So again, wearing appropriate clothing, like a blouse or a t-shirt and a trousers, will just help you be a bit more comfortable while undressing for the process. The mammographer will then check your details, make sure all of your name, date of birth, address are all correct, and we've got the correct contact details for you. She'll then invite you in and she will position you in the X-ray machine for the mammogram. Once you're in the correct position, that's when the compression happens. That's what Mansi was talking about in relation to where you may feel some discomfort. That compression is necessary so we can get a good look at the breast tissue. The compression itself only lasts about 4 to 6 seconds, and then it's released. Then your mammographer will come and she'll position you for the second image. Again, a similar process. Once you're positioned, then that's when the compression occurs. And again, it literally is for like 4 to 6 seconds. So you will have that across 4 images. So the level of time you're having that compression where you may experience that discomfort is probably something like 20 seconds during that entire 6 minute appointment. And I think it's important to remember as well that for those who do experience this discomfort, it's temporary. It doesn't damage the breast tissue. It is necessary for us to be able to visualize the breast tissue within the breast itself. And again, just to emphasize, like Mansi says, for that 6 minute appointment and that 20 seconds of potential discomfort, if we can pick something up that is early from a breast cancer perspective, that is then successfully treated, that really is that 20 seconds of discomfort to save your life is really important.
And we're not going to try and pretend there's no discomfort, because there's no point, is it? If we tried to say it was absolutely fine, you'll feel nothing, it's a breeze, and you went...
For some ladies that is the case.
Yeah, I'm
sure. It isn't for everyone,
yeah.
And that's why, we want to be open and honest with people with regard to some ladies do find it uncomfortable and some ladies do find it painful. A large percentage of ladies don't feel anything at all. They tolerate it really, really well.
The pain is simply the pain of the compression.
The compression with the breast tissue, yes. Which is necessary as part of the mammogram. You can't have a mammogram performed without having that compression.
And it won't last, and there's nothing.
No, it's
And
temporary.
there's no side effects. There's no consequence of that compression.
No, it's temporary. Ladies sometimes do experience some temporary discomfort, but it resolves within a few hours or a few days for some.
20 seconds of possible discomfort, and we're talking about stuff that could save your life here, aren't we? It's that.
Exactly.
That's sort of straightforward. We kind of touched on it a little bit, Mansi, in the first episode, in terms of the work that you guys going out and about in the community, talking to the different communities you've got in this part of northeast London. What are some of the common, but I don't want to say myths, because some of them might not be myths. Some are genuine concerns you can probably allay. But what are some of the reasons and some of the concerns that people have when it comes to not going to their screening appointment?
I think the first one would be language barriers.
Yeah.
So, if they don't speak English, they might feel like they don't feel confident enough going for the appointment. So we do have access to language line, which is translators. We can call if people have come for their appointment.
Do the first initial letters go out in different languages?
The first screening, sorry?
The first
letter. So the letter is in English.
Yeah.
They will receive reminder texts as well 7 days and 2 days before their appointment.
Yeah.
So that's not in different languages yet. But when they do come for the screening appointment on site, then we have iPads in place with translation apps on it, but we also have language line, which is live translators on the telephone, where the mammographers can actually use those tools to talk to the women as well. So I think language is one barrier that we do see often. I think some of the other ones are awareness again. So that's speaking to the efforts that we are taking with the community. I think people might not be aware of how important it is to get that breast screening done, how common it is. So 1 in 7 women will get diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime in the UK. It's the most common cancer in the UK.
Right.
So I think those figures are not known enough, and people, it's almost like maybe it's like it won't happen to me. Again, going back to it, nobody in my family has it. And we see that sometimes there are also people women from the South Asian community are presenting late because they don't go for screening.
Yeah.
So they get diagnosed through the symptomatic pathway, and that means that they're presenting at a later stage as well.
So what kind of approach do you take with those people and those communities that maybe are putting their head in the sand? Is it kind of you don't want to sort of scare them, but in a way you need to get across, this is really serious.
Yeah, so I think it's about taking care of yourself. So I think the messaging that, you need to take care of your body, you need to take care of yourself, all kind of teachings everywhere talk about how, you should be taking care of your body. So I think we try to focus on that. We try to focus on, again, breast screening is for everyone. As far as we're concerned, everyone that we invite is healthy, because it's a screening program. So just because you've received an invite doesn't mean you have cancer. But I think it's about staying on top of it. So if you do come for that screening appointment often, then again, we catch something earlier, if at all. We don't want to scare people. That's the point. I think it's for their benefit as well. It's a free national screening program that the NHS offers. I think it's going into the community and actually understanding their barriers and talking to those influencers that they are more likely to listen to as well. I know I keep going back to it, but I think it's just really important.
I think it's really important. Yeah.
To do that. I think those are the main ones that we do tend to see, and our idea would be to kind of almost like I don't want to say empower, but people, just letting them know that this is their body, and then they need to take care of it, essentially.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because we've talked in previous episodes about, you can't scare people because they kind of run the other way, and actually you have a worse impact. But I just, a lot of education, a lot of material. I think back to when, we're trying to get people to quit smoking, and you saw on the packs those really awful images that absolutely horrified you. And I don't know kind of which way works, because I think with cancer sometimes people they don't understand how serious this is, and I can tell you from personal experience how it destroys lives, and how it leaves a trail of destruction in its path, and it's if you can get in early and you can have a way of detecting something early, and we talked the same conversation around bowel screening and HPV vaccinations and that kind of thing. If you can do anything to try and get in there early, get these things diagnosed earlier, so these amazing treatments and surgical techniques can do their thing, that's got to be a good thing. And I think it's sometimes difficult to understand why that message doesn't get across.
And I think, that's one of the issues as well, is there is this misconception that if you don't have a family history, you're not at risk. And I think we get that as well when we're out there in the community delivering our message. The reality is 80% of the breast cancers we diagnose in the UK have no family history.
Right, 80% have no family history.
Have no family history.
Wow.
So that's the majority.
Yeah.
But there is this misconception that, I don't have a family history, therefore I'm not at risk, therefore I don't need to attend my breast screening or bowel screening or cervical screening.
Yeah.
It is really important that the population are aware that this affects everybody. If it's never been in your family before, with the statistics we have, we know that with like I said, 80%, there is no family history. That there is no specific, genetic mutation within 80% of the cancers we diagnose. So it's important that the general population are aware of this. In relation to the risk of developing breast cancer, as Mansi was saying, at 1 in 7.
And I think some barriers are like maybe structural or easier to address. So let's say, women are at work, they don't have time off. So we have evening or weekend appointments. For people with learning disabilities, longer appointments, better support, better transport, pre-visits. But some barriers are a bit harder, like fear. Fear of finding out.
Yeah.
I think that is a difficult one to address because they might know the benefits of doing screening.
Yeah.
But then if they're just scared to find out if they have cancer. So I think those are the ones that probably require more engagement or more kind of a deeper dive to address and to basically make a case for screening.
So how do you connect with those people then? What are you guys doing to try and overcome that barrier, which, as you say, is a really tricky one?
I think over the phone is hard because, they can always hang up.
Yeah.
I think when we are with the community, I think working again with the VCSE organizations really help. I think the GP aspect really helps. So, just if the GPs are really kind of on it and know the women from their practice who have missed their screening, even a nudge really helps a lot. I think that kind of an approach hopefully can have a bigger impact. Religious leaders, community influencers, all those make a huge difference as well, because those are people you tend to listen to and pay attention to. So I think that's the approach that we take when there are like more cultural barriers that we are facing or barriers like fear.
I think deprivation, we've sort of touched on deprivation a little bit as well. We know there's plenty of that in this part of London, and the reality is that some people will think, I can either pay the bus fare to go for my appointment, or I can put food on the table for my kids this evening, and that's the reality, isn't it, for some people?
It's true. I think from our perspective, what we do to support is to we try to give them the appointment closest to their postcode, but then also there is flexibility with the service that they can, let's say they were given an appointment at a certain place, they can call and change any aspect of that appointment, whether it's date, time, or location. So if they kind of have, if you have a center closer to their workplace, they can actually go during their break and kind of get screened there. So I think that's the flexibility around when and how they attend is what we provide for that.
Do you think that's one of the things that maybe has improved in the last 10 years? Is that a flexibility to actually, I imagine, I mean, you tell me, but going back a few years, your appointment is here on this day at this time. Now we'll do whatever we can to try and make it as easy as possible for you.
So I think what we've done is we've done a remapping
Yeah.
program. So yes, like you say, previously it was where your GP was. So
Yeah.
you were invited within 30 minutes of your GP's postcode. Whereas the remapping we've done is within the individual's address. So we've looked at the population and we've positioned our screening sites within 30 minutes of where these ladies are, so to make it easier and more accessible. Also, with the location of a screening site, we look at transport links and easy accessibility to those areas. So these are all factors we take into consideration when we are mapping and coordinating where our screening sites are going to be. We don't always get it right, and it is always looking at where is the best location to invite the largest volume of ladies. But I think with regard to deprivation as well, it is about getting in there and getting community engagement and letting these ladies know that, you know, we are flexible with our appointments. We are flexible with our appointment times. What I would love to have for the future is a mobile screening van that is mobile, because I think that's one of the misconceptions in relation to the screening service. We say we have these mobile vans, but they're static.
Right.
They don't move.
They go to a car park or something and they
Yes.
Yeah.
And it takes a big Arctic lorry to actually move them from one location to another, and it's logistically it's very challenging. So to the future, and we don't have one yet here in the UK for screening, but I would love to challenge one of those companies that develop our mobile screenings, is to actually have a mobile one where we could go into these communities, and those who have missed their appointments who are of eligible screening age, that we could actually do that there. And I think that would be really effective, and that's not something we have the resource to do right now, but it's something I know Mansi
definitely
and I
a wish list.
Well, that would be
on our wish
that would
list
be
for the
great. But let's
future.
talk about the mobile screening vans. Actually, that must have changed things for a lot of people anyway. Being able to, even if you can't drive it around, you know, so easily, just taking it into a community and parking it in a car park of a supermarket or something must have changed things.
I definitely did, because of the accessibility. Generally, you've got better transport links, and it is, you know, you can do your shopping and have your screening, or have your screening and do your shopping. It was the accessibility in relation to them. Sometimes the challenge is if we're in a location for a number of years, and there is pressure that we move from that location, that can be a challenge. But yeah, certainly with the Asda's, with the Tesco's that have us on site, it has been much better, I think, received from the local community, with better access for those eligible ladies.
If you know, we're talking about wish list here. You know, let's go down that little rabbit hole. If you had, I don't want to say an unlimited budget, because that's pie in the sky, isn't it? But if you had a realistic wish list of things that would really, really help some of the people that you work with, what would that contain, that wish list?
I think the mobile van,
Mobile
like you
van,
said, that was
definitely.
definitely. And I think
maybe like improved transport. Like, we have transport right now that's provided, but I think maybe like improved transport access.
I think definitely improved transport, because right now, if you require transport, you have to meet quite a strict criteria. And yes, we all know it's all about budgets, etc. But I do think there are people who don't quite meet that criteria who could really be supported. And I think, you know, sometimes it's where you are in London. Some places have better services than others. But yeah, definitely.
And I think the other one, Claire, and you can like call me out for saying it here, but is better.
Don't want to cause a fight between you two.
I know. I'm like, I might say something controversial. No, just better system, like our kind of data logging system. So I think something that kind of speaks freely to the GPs, because right now that's a barrier that we have. And I think that's something that stops us from, or kind of limits the kind of data that we can access, broken down by like demography and ethnicity, etc. So I know there are talks this is like way beyond, it's at national level, and I know hopefully there are talks to kind of make that more streamlined, and we do have initiatives that we have taken right now to make it better. But I think just like that the better data would be very helpful, better data systems.
Yeah,
I've
no,
said it.
I agree. You've said it. I agree. I won't disagree. Yeah, that would be good if our IT systems could talk to each other. Right now they don't, and there's work in the background to try and make that happen.
Imagine that. I can remember, I've told this story a few times on the podcast, but I can remember going, Rachel was being treated at the Christie in Manchester, and we went to our local A&E, which was Wythenshawe, which is about 6 or 7 miles away, and she'd had a scan at the Christie a week earlier, which wasn't a great scan. Into A&E, they'd given another scan. This poor registrar who couldn't access the scan results from 7 or 8 miles away, he came in to deliver what he thought was really bad news from a scan, and we were like, no, we found that out last week. It's absolutely it's fine, And he's like, it doesn't make any sense to patients that there's such a disjoined, is that the right word? There's such a lack of connectivity and ability to talk to each other and to share information and that kind of thing. It's frustrating for patients.
Yeah, very frustrating. I mean, we are looking at the NHS app for the future as well. I think that will be a big improvement if that does come on board, where appointments can be sent straight to the app. I think we need to get better than what we are in using existing technology that's out there, and I think that will come to the future. That will certainly help.
Imagine you had somebody from the North East London Cancer Alliance listening to this conversation. What would you tell them in terms of support that maybe you wanted from them, from the Alliance?
So I think the Alliance does a really good job of campaigns. I think their campaigns are so helpful and on point. And I think they already kind of work pretty closely with us in terms of connecting us appropriately to local organizations that we need to partner with, but also currently we are working with them to do the two-prong approach that I mentioned with primary care and the community as well. So I think we're very well connected, which is very helpful because it's about those partnerships that we develop, because they'll have the kind of expertise of the region and the community, and we come from the service perspective. So I think it's a really good partnership in that sense. I think it's just continuing that kind of work together and making those links and giving us the platforms that we kind of need to spread that awareness and message as well for the community or primary care.
Yeah, I very much agree. The engagement we've had in the last 2 years with the alliances has been fantastic, and the support they've given us with the various work streams that we have and the projects really has helped impact. And it's helped us break into local communities as well. So they've linked us up with projects. They've linked us up with local communities that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to engage with. So I think it's that kind of collaborative working that really has helped us, get where we are today with regard to the improvement in uptake that we've seen. Because we've seen significant improvement in the last 18 months in our breast screening uptake, and it's going in the right direction. We want to keep it going in the right direction, and I think it's the collaborative working with the cancer alliances and primary care that really help with that and help drive that.
Are there any more myths or misconceptions we need to bust here?
I think more on less on screening, because we covered those, but more on maybe just breast cancer. I think we had some that we often hear, like wearing an underwired bra can cause cancer, or deodorants. I think sometimes they come up, people probably on social media or elsewhere, where people think like hair dyes or deodorants can increase your risk of getting cancer. So as far as the NHS is concerned, we have no research that links the two. I think the other one that we covered was family history. So if you don't have a family history, you won't get breast cancer, which is also not true. 80%.
And a mobile phone in your bra.
Yeah.
Who wants to carry a mobile phone in the bra? I'm really not quite sure. But for those who do, it doesn't increase your risk of breast cancer. Yeah. There's absolutely no evidence with that. I remember being at a community event once and really being shouted down about that, because I think there has been, pockets of discussion on social media in relation to it. But yeah, there is no correlation between carrying your mobile phone in your bra and developing breast cancer.
The others I can think of are chest binding and breast implants. I guess those also don't increase your risk. of getting breast cancer. I think the main risks are like as we get older, and if you're a woman, those are like the main ones that really increase.
It is. It's about having a healthy, balanced diet, reducing your alcohol intake. If you smoke, stopping smoking. So again, it's about, especially over the age of 50, ladies who are, postmenopausal. Again, it's just about being fit, getting out there, making sure you're active, monitoring your diet. And like I said, alcohol and tobacco intake.
And I think it doesn't have to be, we're not saying go to the gym an hour every day. Like, maybe just get off one stop before your actual stop and do that walk. Like, just get a bit more active. I think that could really make a lot of difference as well.
It's amazing
take the
how
stairs instead of the lift. Simple things.
It's amazing how myths, get a life of their own and almost become fact. We had, we did an episode recently on skin cancer and in that we talked about how, you put sun cream on and it works immediately, things like that. And I went on holiday recently with my wider family and, there was still this idea you had to wait 20 minutes before going in the sun after putting sun cream on. And even though I said, no, I did this podcast and it's, that's the truth, still this person who only had the best interest of her kids at heart, but was like, no, I'd like to just wait 20 minutes. And then my brother-in-law came up to me and he said, I've heard there's something in sun cream that can actually cause cancer. I was like, that's just not true.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how we talk about the kind of messaging around, it seems like really clear and obvious to us, and sometimes actually a sort of a conspiracy theory myth will almost seem more believable to some people than, you go for 20 seconds of pain and it could save your life kind of thing. It doesn't make sense.
It's almost like positive messages don't make it out there. It's the negativity, unfortunately, that do. So I think we've just got to, from a communications perspective, and when we see this happening, I think it's about getting out there with the factual information and putting it out there. But it's like, that negative kind of media does unfortunately always sell. And I think we just need to have our comms ready to combat, where that happens and where those misconceptions are shared. It is really important that, factual information is given, on top of that, as well.
And take your information from good sources too, don't you? We all love a bit of Dr. Google, don't we? And I'm sure. I
mean, to be honest, the NHS website is brilliant. It has really good resources there. It's got really good signposting. So I think, if you are going to go to recommended websites in relation to your fact finding. So if it's in relation to your breast screening, nhs.net. Obviously, for those who have been diagnosed with cancer and wants additional information, you've got Macmillan, who've got fantastic resources. And you've got breast cancer now as well, and Cancer Research UK. But in relation to information, nhs.net's brilliant resource. So
we've talked about our wish list. Let's look at our crystal ball now for a second. You said, Claire, that in the last 18 months we've made really good progress, but cast the net 5, 10, 15 years into the future. Where are we going to be? Are we going to hit this 80%? Are we going to go beyond that? And if so, kind of what do we need to do in order to get there?
I think having more community champions that we've trained out there in those hard to reach communities, I think is really, really important. And I think it's a continuation of what we're doing. We weren't looking at inequalities 5 years ago, in fact. We weren't looking at these barriers and looking at ways of breaking them down. This is almost like, we've come out of the pandemic now. We're looking at the impact it's had. Yeah. And I think we're looking at things in much more detail than we ever did. So I'm really hoping with that kind of new vision that we have for the future in relation to reducing deaths by cancer here in the UK, that the focus on prevention and screening, it will be up there. Whereas before it was there, but it was never quite up there with the other programs.
I think even our 10-year plan talks about being in the community and on prevention. I think that's already kind of, going forward to the focus. And as you mentioned, I think inequalities was, I don't think it was front and center the way it is right now. So I think we've developed 3 work streams on improving equity of access already in the last 2 years, which are doing really well. So I think it's about just hoping for that equitable access going forward, and also improving the uptake really, because it's something that does save lives, and as we've said it repeatedly, it's a few seconds.
20 seconds of possible discomfort, and it could save your life.
Yeah. And I think the Cancer Alliances are really supporting with pushing this forward as well. And I think having that collaborative working together is really helping open those doors and move things in the right direction. And I would really hope with the focus that we have now, we will be in a much better position, in 5 years' time, never mind 10 years time, than where we are today.
What a lovely positive way to finish. Claire, Mansi, thank you so much for your time today. It's been brilliant.
Thank you.